are not above me. I bet you wish you was me. I know that I know.
What is poppin', everybody? And welcome back to another special episode of the Only Friends podcast. Well, you know, it's me and my only friends, which includes my sidekick, who's texting on his phone. What's poppin', Burke?
I got business to do.
Oh, shit. Big business, Burke.
The one
You threw him for a loop there. He thought he had like at least another like 15, 20 seconds.
Well, I saw what he was doing. I had to put him on.
Mm-hmm.
I had to wake him up.
He has one fucking job, and he's the absolute worst at it. He tried to keep a bit going that had a natural death. It died of natural causes.
Mm-hmm.
He still tries to revive it. He's sitting here pumping on the chest, breathing in the mouth of the tortilla
I just had to piss some people off yesterday.
And then today, he sees I'm trying to get something done. And instead of going to Lamanna or Guapo, no, he fucking comes right to me.
He sees you texting on your phone. He doesn't, or on your phone. He doesn't see you're trying to get something done. How are we supposed to know? You're just always on your phone. How do we know when you're being productive and just being on your phone?
When am I ever on my phone during the pod?
I don't know.
Yeah,
at the beginning.
Never. Yeah, because I'm trying to get shit done. Oh man, you guys got me fired up. It's gonna be a fucking long one day. Guapo, cut my mic at 11:40. Otherwise, I'm never getting out of here. I got a game to get to at noon.
Oh man. Noon? You play at noon?
Play at noon.
Let's go.
I had a bad night.
100.
Yeah.
Did you order crumble? I saw the French toast cookie.
Is my boy Santosh going to be there?
No.
Oh,
Santosh.
No, he's grinding Triton right now.
He's in Triton.
He loves Triton, man.
Oh, yeah.
He absolutely fucking loves it more than anybody I've ever seen in my life. Which is weird because I didn't realize that, like, everybody was like, oh, yeah, Santosh from the Triton streams. I'm like, I don't know any Santosh from any Triton streams. And then I played with him, and I was like, oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I know Santosh.
Yeah, he's slowly becoming a legend.
How could he not? He's such good action. He has such a good time doing it. Honestly, like, it's funny. We joke about this, but it's more true than not. We've had a handful of like new age Guy Laberts just roll through the community in the last 5 years or so. Granted, they're not quite as deep as Guy. They don't got a billion to pull
not
from.
very many people are.
No, of course. Yeah. But like, in a lot of ways, Airball is, a poor man's Guy Labert.
Yeah.
The guy's just out there losing bricks every fucking time he sits down in a game, and Santosh is probably a lot closer to Guy in real life dollar sense. Yeah, the high stakes ecosystem is doing well, to say the least. I would say that
there's still too much money in the system, is what you're saying.
Yeah, the dream is still alive for those of you young bucks out there who are hoping to grind your ass off and get up, go on.
It's dead, but it's alive.
Why is it dead?
It's dead because you got to get there, and then it's alive because, like, if you get past that wall, it's there.
Yeah.
I don't think Airball is doing too bad. I'm looking at the Hustler Casino Live.
All I see is fucking red.
But I do see my boy Santosh up there, though.
Where's
down 800?
Where's Airball?
I don't know. Maybe he just opted out.
No, you can search him.
Just type his name up top.
Well, these are the top losers.
Yeah, he was a big winner on there prior to the last 2 months or so.
And he won $500K the other day, I feel like.
In the PLO Flips game?
Dude, honestly, that shit was so much fun. I watched most of it.
I mean, it really does explain why like, people, basically to me it explains why Twitch banned slots from being streamed. Because like there's just something like sick and degenerate about watching people just gamble their fucking faces off for large sums of money.
I mean, it's a game.
It is kind of interesting.
It is.
I found myself watching a few video poker streams on YouTube.
It's so dumb.
Not that.
No, you think it's dumb.
The PLO flips are different.
I don't know. There's something like...
They're not different.
Yes, they are, because they're not really flips.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're not. You don't have to do it.
You don't have to pull the lever.
Honestly,
but like, here we are.
Yes, you do. No.
Maybe it's better to be like emotionally invested in like these people playing like these slots than actually playing it yourself.
I don't think. I think it flips that switch in your brain.
Does it?
I think like watching, yes, you're right. Being once removed from gambling is better than gambling. But I think like if you're degenerate enough to he's right. The PL flips are a little bit different because it is still poker. So you're kind of still watching under the constructs of a game that you're interested in. But like just in a general sense, if you're observing high stakes gambling and it gives you that feel, you're probably going to go punt it off somewhere.
I guess there's different variations. I've came across these guys. They're called the Jackpot Gents.
Oh, God.
They're dad, shout out to them. They're a dad and son like gambling team, but they only play video poker, and they're like super mathematical. So they like they have like all these charts and everything on like, you know, what they say like, hey, listen, like you play exact optimally, you're going to be, you know, still a dog, right? But they show the ways to like, you know, at least give yourself a chance, I guess. In a way, like to play to where you're not going to maximize your losses. You're going to minimize your losses, where you're still going to lose, but you're going to minimize them.
You probably get to eat at the buffet for free, though.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, if you play where you're like getting 99.8% back plus the comps, you're almost coming out ahead.
Yeah, I mean that's what Kessler does. He's an advantage player. Like he said, he makes like $250,000 a year, but I think most of it is just in free play.
Well, yeah, but the free play is it's real money that you're getting to play now. So it's like it turns into real dollars at the end of the day.
So like I have a friend that lives out here from Jersey, or he kind of just hops from hotel to hotel every 4 days and gets paid in like free play and like shit like that because he's, you know, he has a lot of slots. He plays advantage slots, and like I'd say he probably, if he's rolled correctly for what he's doing, I think he makes like $100K a year, like cash probably. But like it's hard.
It's very hard. Like, you have to have deep pockets too.
Yeah, like
to start.
It seems pretty absurd.
Yeah, I mean if
you have to have the deep pockets because you have to realize that.
Well, it's not even just about realizing it. If you're making like call it 1.5% post comps, right? So say you're losing like I don't know 1 cent on the dollar on average, no comps, and then you're making like 2 cents on the dollar post comps. You got to put in like millions of volume, to make $100K,
right? Which is not. I mean, it's not that hard, but you just have to be deep.
Yeah.
Right. You just you have to play a lot and you have to be deep. And I mean, you know, when people are playing like $25 a hand or $50 a hand, it racks up pretty quickly.
Yeah. What an incredible waste of time.
I mean, not if you enjoy it, not if it's fun, not if you're like you like that environment. Like Kessler loves that environment. Like he says, he spends 300 and some days in the casino. Obviously, he does it because he enjoys it. He loves being there. He loves it. Right?
He obviously is wired wrong.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you know.
I mean, I sell junk on the internet, and I love it.
Yeah.
You didn't even know that.
I didn't know that.
Wait, when you say junk,
Well,
has an eBay store.
yeah, sorry. I should elaborate. I go to Goodwills, I go to yard sales, and I flip stuff online.
Yeah. I mean, that's
hustle.
cool. Yeah, it's a side hustle. It makes you some extra cash, and you enjoy doing it. So, like, what's the problem?
Well, there's no problem per se.
He's gonna shit on it.
I'm not gonna shit on it. I'm not gonna shit on it. I personally struggle with these things because like I have a hard time putting my time or energy into anything that can't scale. Like my brain just won't function that way.
Yeah, and that's you do have a different mindset, and you do have like a different personality than some people. So like I get that where like you're looking at like the bigger.
Like I don't mind over investing time into something that has a low probability of reaching great scale, as long as the probability for great scale is there. Like basically, as long as I'm able to recoup dollars for that time somewhere down the line, at least in theory, it seems worth something. But
I mean, in theory, what Guapo does can scale for sure.
It could, but
like
it's
you could scale. I mean, it's
yeah.
tough, but I mean, you could start a business doing this, hire employees, teach them what you do, right, and then and then build it out from there.
More so like 10 or 15 years ago, like those businesses did exist,
right?
They die because the world gets smaller, we get more technologically advanced, et cetera, extinction event, business goodbye. But yeah, I don't know. It is kind of weird, right? Like at the core, we're just kind of put on this earth to procreate and die. and whatever happens in between is our own little adventure.
Sad pod today. We're all gonna die.
But like it's weird to me because I feel like I'm personally burdened with the thought of wasting copious amounts of time. I mean, like it doesn't take much for us as a species to recognize that like time is our greatest commodity. And so this burden of like not wasting it, kind of, maybe I just have like that scarcity mindset of like growing up poor where time is money in this particular instance. So it's like I grew up being very fickle and not wanting to waste money. Now I don't care about money and I don't want to waste time.
Do you feel like you don't waste time, or do you feel like you do waste time but you feel bad about it? Like, have you?
I mean, it's inevitable.
Or you probably have gotten
yeah.
better through the years of your time management.
Yeah, but it's inevitable that you'll waste it. I definitely feel some level of guilt attached to, I guess, like investing time into fruitless activities.
Yeah.
But I also, I'm also like not blind enough to be able to ignore that it's all meaninless.
At the end of the day, right?
Yeah, it's just like big picture. We're all just like a speck in the universe that, have no greater impact.
Well,
I mean, possibly we could.
Like, you can look at it two different ways, right? Because it's just like, yes, we are a little speck, right? A little grain of dust that has no meaning. But at the end of the day, yourself, and everything that's around you, that's everything. So it's the biggest thing, right? So it's two different perspectives.
Yeah, it's a weird duality to try to navigate, and I think that's kind of, at least from my perspective, the plight of the human condition.
Yeah,
just trying to find meaning where there is none, purpose where maybe it's not even necessary. Like,
just enjoy yourself. Find ways to enjoy yourself. Try to limit your stress, and then
I'm stress free, baby.
I'm not saying you. I'm saying the general population.
I will say, I do generally feel stress free, but the nights where I don't sleep, which is generally rare, but have been more and more this summer, just because the schedule's been hectic. I feel so fucking assy the next day. Like last night, Gatsby at 2 a.m. for whatever reason, I'm actually kind of worried that like this is an old dog thing, and that he's losing it. But he just like was howling for hours.
Really?
For just hours. He just couldn't stop. And it's like, if he thinks something's outside, he'll just go outside and investigate. No, he's just like dead asleep and then just wakes up and starts bellowing. And it's like, are you in pain? No, you're not in pain. You think there's an intruder. There isn't one. Do you see ghosts? Like, this is what happened when my grandma died. She started talking to people that weren't in the room.
No.
Like, Gatsby, no.
Oh, no. Come back, Gatsby.
We already lost
back.
Chauncey. I
Wait
can't
for the
do
lights.
this.
Gatsby's such a good boy.
Yeah.
He is, but I didn't sleep for shit. Man, he kept me up all night. Brutal.
mean, yeah, when you get the sleepless nights and you feel shitty the next day, sleep is very important.
Sleep is very important to gambling. I find that correlation to be very, like, when I'm tired, I have no gamble in me whatsoever. And
because you have to be sharp when you gamble. I mean,
you also just want to want to gamble. You have to have
you have to have the will to do it.
I want to like, fuck this person here.
I'm so tired. I'm just gonna try to make a hand.
Yeah, and like that's the problem. It's not whatever. You take a little bit of gamble out of your strategy. That's usually gonna be a good thing. For me, it's like a really bad thing because it does take that crispness out, and it also like puts me in a position where I get super lazy in my decisions.
Yeah,
and it's no longer like reading the actual texture, thinking on a range type of analysis, and it's so much more of like I have a gut shot to the nuts.
Whatever.
I don't know what this bet means. I call.
Yeah.
And then you miss, and it's like, I just don't have it in me to figure out a creative way to bluff. I should have thought of that 2 streets ago.
Yep.
Fuck. Yeah. Like, these are the sessions or the ones that wane into the early hours of the morning where it's like 4 a.m. and you're buried and suddenly you're just like all in on the river and you're like, how the fuck did I get here, man? Like, this doesn't make any sense. I'm for sure getting called.
This sucks.
I don't even know what I'm targeting.
Fuck my life.
What hand am I? And then you just like look at the other person. They're also dead behind the eyes. Like, well, maybe they got here the same way.
Yeah.
There's a good chance that they might fold out of just sheer desperation.
I know a lot of people, really stress the fact of getting good sleep, especially like during the World Series when you're playing a lot. And that's why a lot of people are upset with the super early start time, especially on day twos.
I don't know how people do it, man.
Yeah.
I really don't.
It's like when you play till 2 a.m. or you play till like 1, and then by the time you get home and then like get to bed, it's 3 o'clock, and then you have to be there at 10 again. It's really tough.
I loved it, honestly.
And then you're playing day 2, but
Conrad doesn't sleep.
I do sleep.
He does sleep, but he sleeps at weird times.
I know. What are you talking about? I sleep
He
12
just
to 5.
Yeah, he just gets up really
1 to
early.
6 or something like
12
that.
to 5 is not enough
That's
sleep.
not sleep.
What?
That's a nap.
Yeah.
I don't
5
know what
hours?
you guys talking about? I'll be
4
fresh.
hours?
No, honestly.
I want to put a whoop on him and just watch the fucking red days pile up.
Red?
Yeah, red.
There'd be no red.
Okay.
No, okay.
Bet.
I've been losing.
We got a bet. We went from the Reds bet to a red bet.
I feel better when I sleep 5 hours than when I somehow sleep 8 or 10.
Yeah, because when you sleep 8 or 10, you remind your goddamn body that you're capable of sleep.
Well,
and it's like, oh man, we got so much to catch up on.
I can't do it. I don't know why. I just don't sleep.
Well,
it's not fun.
You got a lot of chemicals coursing through your veins that aren't really allowing for sleep.
I don't put anything in me.
You smoke.
I've lost a little bit of sleep over the last couple of days.
Smoke's supposed to put you to sleep.
Not nicotine.
Oh, yeah,
Go on, Guapo.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. I had an epiphany. I was eating a salad.
You don't make friends
day.
with salad, Guapo.
No, I was definitely eating a salad. And I looked at my salad, and something was off. Because when I opened my salad, I realized that my name backwards.
This show is so funny.
So amazing.
Like, how does this happen? It's like, you talk about hitting a one-outer. That's so bad.
I had to reconstruct the handwriting and everything to figure out how it actually got to Wiener. But yeah, I mean, that was an unlucky.
It's upside down and backward. Well, no, it's just upside down, right?
Yeah, upside down and backwards, yeah.
Yeah.
That was like one
Not
of the
backwards.
best.
Not backwards.
Just upside down.
Oh, okay.
That's one of the best things I've ever saw, honestly.
Yeah.
I laughed for a while. I sent that to like 4 different people.
Upside down and inside out is what it is. It's upside. He was like he had to be like
Yeah,
some were capital, some weren't.
Everything worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
Lucky me.
It'd be pretty funny if like this person had like figured out if they spell Miguel that way that'll be, and then
say
every
that.
time a Miguel comes in, they write it like that just to fuck with them.
That'd be great. What names can I write backwards that make something stupid?
That was pretty incredible.
Oh, man.
Shout out to Frankie C, member for 6 months. He said, shout out to the Tortoise. I saw T Swift in Santa Clara with my friend,
Oh,
and I get
man.
why the Tortoise is a fan. The show was crazy.
Yeah, it I keep seeing like all the shows that she's at, and I'm like, man, I want to go back. She's playing six nights to end the tour, the U.S. tour in at SoFi in L.A. this weekend. 6.
I don't care.
It's amazing.
I don't care. I saw
Ben Ludlow was there. He went.
You all should be embarrassed of yourselves.
Yeah,
You're grown-ass men.
him and Haley went.
Time out.
And he said it was a quote religious experience.
He's a comedian.
You wouldn't know, man. You just wouldn't know.
You guys are grown ass men. All right, look, I will say this. I think that she is an incredible performer and very good at what she does. Do I want to see her in concert? No. Jeno showed me some like bootleg feed on TikTok or some shit.
Mm-hmm, there's a lot of them.
Where it's just people in the concert like holding their phone up. What an obnoxious experience this was. Imagine some rando holding their phone up for you to see the concert, and instead of you hearing Tay Swift, you hear some fucking rando singing the 10-minute version of goddamn.
That was me singing.
Brian?
That was me singing it.
My God.
Not missing one word.
Turn it off.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, there's people are like streaming it on TikTok, essentially, like streaming it on TikTok, and
which would be great if I don't have to hear you and 6 of your friends.
Guess how many of those I watched?
Singing all
0.
too well.
if you're out there and you have Brian LaManna singing for 5 minutes on TikTok, please send that over.
Guapo has me singing T Swift at
Yes, a very
like
drunken night
karaoke
of
bar.
karaoke.
We need unknowingly.
I don't think it matters.
That's
it
true.
really does.
He's a performer, man.
That's right.
He's here for the people.
I was kind of bummed out to hear that U2 U2 is opening
The Sphere.
that Sphere.
Yeah.
I've
You're bummed
I
out?
think U2 is like awful.
Who's you too?
I particularly disdain U2.
I don't love U2, but I don't hate them. I like they kind of are polarizing some way. Like some people, like you said, you guys don't like them, but like overall, they're one of the biggest bands like in the world.
Yeah, they're massive.
Yeah.
They've done like a lot of sellout.
They've been around for a long, long time.
Yeah, they've done like a lot of sellout type of shit the last decade or so. But like, whatever, get your back. They're somehow still relevant 20 years after their
Yeah,
most
I'm not
popular
I'm not
songs.
excited to see, but I am excited.
I'm excited to go to the venue.
I'm
for
excited
sure.
to go to the venue. I'm sure there's going to be some amazing shows there.
Yeah, it's
I
gonna
think
be
there's like a Planet Earth type.
Yeah, it should be like an
event.
Omnimax.
Yeah, it's going to
Yeah.
be something like that. Like it's like it's some sort of. Were you telling me about this, Guapo? There's like I forget who it was. A very like famous director or producer or something is doing like it's like a Planet Earth type event there, which I will be there.
So talking about the Spear real quick. First off,
The Spear?
What is the official name of this
Yeah.
place,
Spear.
by the way?
Spear? Whatever.
Spear is something you like throw to kill something.
Sphere.
Sphere is
Sphere?
a circular
Sphere.
object.
Yeah, whatever. One. I had my words all planned out, and now you fucked me.
Do not throw a spear at the sphere.
Yeah.
The word of the day is sphere.
Anyway, so my girl was out here last week, and she wanted to go see it. Of course, I was annoyed. I was like, "Who the fuck wants to go see a spear?" So we get there and whatnot. First off, how many fucking people do you think are seeing this thing at like 6 o'clock on a fucking
When you say see, you mean
Tuesday?
just the outside, right?
Yeah.
You can't go in.
Yeah, just see it on the outside. There's at least
Dozens.
Tons.
Yeah. It's like the Bellagio Fountain Show.
Yeah, might have been more people there.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. It's pretty cool. Like I've only
so
seen it.
dope.
Yeah, I've really only seen it in person from the Paris garage parking lot.
So
garage.
coming back to it, like I sat there, watched all the animations they had for that day, and that thing is so fucking cool. It's all little hockey pucks. So it's like LED lights the size of hockey pucks.
Right.
And that's
it's
how
so
it's
crystal clear.
It's so
like,
dope,
It's
dude.
so wild how like it literally just looks like the object that they're projecting.
Yeah.
How much money do you think it would take to grease someone to get Landon's Landon's towel pick on that thing?
I'll do it for $5 right now,
fucking
and
incredible.
Man.
give me $5 and some Adobe Premiere, and I'll get it done.
Yeah, just hack into the system.
Yeah, I was gonna say like how long before like
It'll be on Twitter.
how long before
gonna
it's just
happen.
taken over by
Yeah.
like
A disgruntled employee that's just like, fuck it.
well yeah that, but I was saying like before like it's taken over by like corporations and just it's just a giant advertising.
I mean,
just
as
a giant billboard.
Oh, well, is that what happens in Times Square?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Because like I feel like it's like the same thing as a billboard in Times Square. Has anybody ever hacked one of those?
I mean, I'm sure it's happened. I mean, it's had to have
Probably.
happened.
Yeah.
I kind of want to know. That'd be interesting.
It's like so. Is the inside of it like similar to the outside? Like is it like there's like the whole like
I
inside
think
like
it's stadium seating like for the first half, and then there's like obviously like a platform to like sing on or to perform.
right?
or
But there's
whatever.
like a giant like Omnimax kind of screen, right?
Yeah.
Like
I have
should
no
be really
idea
cool.
about the inside. All I know is I heard it's fucking extremely steep inside there.
steep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the seating, like it's way steeper than T-Mobile.
Oh boy. Somebody
Lot
tie
of
me to
jokes.
the seat. I'm gonna
There was somewhere
Tumble
where I
them
went
down.
where I was actually like, I was scared kind of. I might have been T-Mobile. I didn't like, it didn't feel great.
T-Mobile's steep. Yeah.
Yeah, like when you're at
Yeah.
the top in T-Mobile.
Mhm.
Not, yeah.
Especially when you're like at a hockey game and you're like they score and you're jumping up and down and you're excited and you've had like 4 or 5 beers in you.
The top of hockey arenas is always kind of steepish.
Yeah.
They're all built the same.
Yeah,
like they're all
right.
carbon copies of one another throughout the NHL.
Well, I think they just got Well, T-Mobile's new, so I feel like it might have gotten more.
No, most of the teams have built recently. I think there's like a handful that still are maybe kind of like the old arenas, but I know like the Penguins arena. I don't know what the fuck it's called now.
PPG?
It changed. I don't know. Is it still?
Who knows?
Might be like Acrisure.
Yeah. Acrisure arena.
They whatchamacallit? They basically just like mimic the other arenas throughout the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't really try to do anything unique the way that they do in baseball and football, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Getting to a little bit of the shit, I didn't get a chance to listen. I tried to go to bed early. I didn't accomplish said goal, but there's a Twitter space popping off last night. It's my favorite time of year.
Man,
it's my favorite season.
Twitter season?
No, it's who's gonna fight Nicky P season.
Did we get to that answer?
Well, apparently BensBenz is.
Okay.
So the man BensBenz doesn't just give away free money to the community; he also provides entertainment.
Mm-hmm. Gives out ass whoopings.
And he's here to dole out a whooping to Nicky P. Is there a market? Do we have a line?
Apparently, someone's setting lines tomorrow. Betting lines are going to be. You can't bet too much to start, but lines will be out tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean,
they have to get the heights, the weights of everybody.
That's what I was gonna ask, like age, height, weight.
So I think Nicky P.
What are the stipulations here? Is this a boxing match? Is this a free for all?
It's UFC style.
Oh, okay. Timed rounds.
I wanted to say it's till someone gives up unconscious or
we got backyard brawl then.
Or
we in that Kimbo Slice world.
It's a cage match.
I forgot what the rounds were exactly, if they were doing rounds. I think it was 5 minutes.
I need to find a
2 minutes.
picture of BensBenz. I want to know what this guy looks like.
He's a big dude. I saw him one time fucking putting 9 people into a tournament. Literally.
Amazing.
No, I would say he's probably a little bit taller than Nicky P, and they probably weigh somewhere around the same.
Okay.
About 210.
No, like 230.
Oh, okay.
230 to 240.
No, Nicky doesn't wear 230.
Yeah, he said it last night. He said he weighs 233.
Okay, well, that can't be his fighting weight.
Well, apparently. They said they'll bring it down to like 205. That's what.
Yeah, my guy's got to get on it, man. How old's Nicky? Early 30s? Mid 30s?
I want to say he's 30.
No, come on.
Like,
he's got to be older than that.
Well, Benz was going through it. He was like, "You're 10 years younger than me," and Ben said he's 40. So,
come on.
Like, I don't know. I don't think it's possible he's 30.
That seems too
I think
young.
like 33. I would say.
That seems.
Yeah, I would say like 33 probably.
All right. Well, here we are again.
So yeah, I don't know. It was weird. It's like, so there's this Twitter space happening because I guess they're discussing like if BensBenz is part of ACR or something like that. Like, is he getting paid behind the like?
All right. Before we discuss that, somebody in the chat said Benz is 6'2", Nicky's 6'0", and they're gonna fight at 205 or 6 foot, and they're gonna fight at 205. I got to tell you right now, I've looked. I'm 6 foot, and I put in some fucking work, and to be 205 in fighting shape means that you're on the sauce, buddy. Like, if they're fighting at 205, Nicky P is either going to need to start juicing or just give up 20 pounds. Because
how soon is this fight taking place?
Who knows?
December.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
He's got to lose 20. Oh yeah, it's not going to happen.
So not only does he have to lose 20 pounds, but now he's going to fight at a sloppy 205. Bro's going to get fucking winded.
Man,
you got to get that cardio up.
I don't think either one of them are in shape.
Okay.
Like,
all right. So we're looking at like a this is kind of fight.
Yeah,
this is gonna have to be a quick slugfest and over.
This isn't gonna be any like straight lefts or anything like that. Right. We're looking at a little bit of a slap fest.
Yeah, this is gonna be all haymakers, 1 minute rounds.
I imagine.
Wouldn't it always be that way to like people who don't know
fight?
How to fight.
Not when you schedule it. Like, yeah, if they meet up tomorrow and just start fucking swinging on one another, that's what we should expect.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a year out and you train the whole year, I guess you're right. Yeah.
Even in 5 months?
Yeah, I mean, in 5
Someone
months.
should learn how to throw a fucking punch in 5 months.
I mean, I'm sure. Do you ever hear fucking Nicky talk?
I can't.
You know
I
what fights
get
this kid
around
had to
the-
be in his life?
That's what I'm saying.
Have you ever heard this fucking
Why I don't
kid
fight.
talk?
I saw a Guru
He's
tweet.
out of his goddamn mind.
I saw a Guru tweet that it's clear Nicky's never been in a fight, and I disagree.
Guru's out of his fucking mind as well. Because Nicky's had to have been, there has been
can't
no
talk that much
less than
shit.
10 times
exactly
that
right.
somebody just walked up to Nicky and just started fighting.
Yeah, you can't talk that much shit and not swing at some
Correct.
point.
Yeah.
You just don't. It's just impossible. You're
Okay.
from the Bronx. It's not a thing.
All right, so what are the stipulations here? What do we got before we pick a horse?
What are the stipulations? What
They're
do you-
fighting in December. We're gonna have a Christmas match. Is this
Christmas
gonna happen
match.
before or after the WPT?
I'm not sure. Around that time.
Okay, cool. So they'll both be in town.
Yeah.
BensBenz will be putting in 100 people into the 10K in the process of
Yeah.
getting warmed up for the fight.
Yeah. Yeah. That basically.
He'll be running his own milestone satellite.
Yeah. You're not lying.
Okay.
That's all truth.
Okay, cool.
But
I saw he's trying to hire the porn stars as the ring girl.
Nicky Benz.
Yeah, as the ring girl. Sure, why not? Let's get it going. This is the best thing that ever happened to poker. I'm here for this. Continue.
I mean, I don't know what to continue on. It's fucking.
Nicky's getting paid $25K to fight. And,
That's-
and $5K to go to therapy.
Listen, man. I don't know what was happening. Benz might have been a little sauce last night. It seems like.
How rich is he?
Huh?
How rich is he?
Apparently,
For
very.
what it seems like, what he gave off yesterday, I don't know.
He's like a poker Santa
5
Claus.
million. But like, who cares? Like, why is like? So it was crazy because like, there's like a bunch of these people in this spaces, and they're just like harassing him. Like, we know you work for ACR. We know you work for the
Everyone
casino.
wants a conspiracy, man.
And it's
Everybody
like,
wants.
Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Even if he was, like, who gives a fuck?
Everybody wants there to be some cryptic thing happening behind the scenes.
But like, the problem was for me, I was like, yo, you could hear it in his voice that he's like hurt. Like the kid,
Yeah.
is like he's literally hurt.
He picked the wrong community to be charitable too.
Like he's 100%. He's like, what the fuck is wrong with you people?
Yeah.
Like, why is this a thing? I was. There's a fucking OnlyFans girl in there.
What's her role?
I don't know.
I mean, I think you got to root for BensBenz, right? I mean, if the guy's being
It's not
charitable-
even close. I'm rooting for BensBenz.
Yeah, of course.
Yo, first off, Nicky P, what the fuck is wrong with you? This nigga called up Rigsby last night. He's like, oh, Rigsby's in here. Oh, you're such an idiot, blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude,
What did Rigsby ever do?
take for 8 minutes with A7?
Bro, relax.
Yeah, like, Jesus fucking
know.
Christ.
This is my man out there, you
Right.
know? He's out there thinking about it. Maybe he's going to do some shit with A7.
That's the thing about poker, you know? You're like, nobody plays perfectly. It's fun. People want to do things. Like, people do what the fuck they want. Like, mind your goddamn business.
I don't want to be a Debbie Downer for this fight, but I've seen 3 poker fights and only one has actually come through. It was the Alvarado against.
Yeah, because they fucking trained.
Right.
And even that was like, Olivier kind of manhandled him a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, JC's obviously very technical at
Just
MMA,
a smaller
but
guy.
yeah, it was just like Olivier was a fucking house.
But the other 2 were kind of a bust. The Elke fight and the Rast fight.
Oh, the Rast fight
The
was
Rast
so.
one was so
Wait,
bad.
who did-
I
who
feel
did
so
Elke
bad
fight?
for Brian.
Who did Elke fight?
Elke fought
Lex.
Yeah,
Kickboxing fight.
Yeah. I never saw the footage of that one, but you're right. I do remember it being
It was
described
lackluster.
as lackluster.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Rast fight, I remember when it was going down and people were like trying to come up with lines, and I just immediately said, listen, this is
Somebody should have
such-
saved him, honestly.
I was like, this is such a fucking hustle. Like, I know Rast will train hard. Also, I don't know if we discussed it, but shout out to him for making the Hall of Fame 2 years in a row. I've now predicted the Hall of Fame inductee. I'm just saying. But I remember whenever the terms were getting laid out, I was like, this is such a fucking hustle. Like, no way Rast has ever been punched in the face. And for sure, Sorrell's been punched in the face. Like, for sure.
That's
You just know the guy who's been hit before.
That's the thing that
It's like, that's a big deal. Rast was basically like out on his feet in that fight.
it was bad.
yeah, that's. I mean, I feel like Nicky has a huge advantage.
Maybe-
in that.
maybe
I mean,
this
don't get me
is
wrong.
like
Ben
he's
said,
definitely been hit
Ben
before.
said he played hockey, whatever. Got
Okay, all right.
got all his teeth knocked out in the fight or whatever, something
Come
like that.
on, man, with the fucking
Maybe we're
teeth.
seeing
I hate it
like
too.
like a mashup of like UFC and poker? Like, what if there was like a tournament where there's
Man,
like a high.
Oh
These
my God,
nerds
there's
aren't
so
that
many
tough.
good
No,
matchups.
imagine this though. It's a high roller tournament where it's all wrecks, right? All businessmen, and the pros have to fight each other to get into the tournament.
So the Euros win again. No, that's not actually. That's actually not true.
No, it wouldn't be true.
There are very few tough
wouldn't
guys
be
in
true.
poker.
Yeah.
There are very few tough guys in poker, and I would wager that almost all of them are American. And named Jason
the
Kuhn.
tough guys are the Americans.
Jason Kuhn would be in
They're
everyone.
all American
Yeah.
and named Jason Kuhn. Yeah, like
But imagine like Jason Kuhn has to fight like Haxton.
just gets
No, that's not a good matchup. Come on.
So let's,
There is no good matchup for him. He's a Golden Glove boxer. Like,
But like,
it's-
how bad does Haxton want to get in this tournament? Is the question.
Kuhn's just the gatekeeper to all high rollers moving forward. It's like, you can play,
You
but you got to beat his ass.
Now that's something I would watch.
maybe that's how they do the VIP picking for Triton.
They just pair
Right?
up a fist fight with
Yeah.
Jason.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Foxen
good.
versus Jason might be.
Ooh, see, there you go.
Now
That's
we're
a
talking.
matchup.
Foxen is
Now we're talking.
He's a
That's not
massive
a
human
fight.
being.
He is a massive human being, but
I didn't realize how big he was. Like, because I never like see him in person. Then we were at the World Series. I'm like, this guy is fucking massive.
D1 tight end.
Yeah.
That's
He's
what they look like.
Yeah.
They do play the line,
Yeah.
you know?
I
Yeah,
don't,
he's
so
a
I
big
think
boy.
like if I'm thinking about the fight, Nicky P has been hit before plenty of times, and I think he's fought back every single time.
I imagine so. I
know,
said this before. I
easy.
would not want to scrap with the one person that you don't want to fight is the guy who will let you beat him within an inch of his life and
Not
keep
care.
coming.
Yeah.
Like, I'm out.
And that's,
I'm just out on that.
I mean, I feel like, you might get some of that. Like, you might get a scrapper here. Ben's been in the Army for a while, played hockey.
He was in the Army? I
Yeah.
don't want to fight him either.
So, like,
These are like low key sickos in the head, man. These are the kind of guys you do not want to fuck with.
I mean, yeah, sure.
I mean, you learn hand to hand combat.
Yeah, you know he's
Yeah.
trained,
Yeah,
right? You know he's
get
gonna,
trained in
yeah,
hand to
he's
hand
trained.
combat. Like, what's Nicky's training? The streets?
Which,
Streets is a good training.
Streets is a better training.
Yeah, if you're fighting Tim Riley.
Stop. now we're just instigating.
That's pretty funny.
I'm just saying.
I mean,
you know?
yeah, I mean, I think it'll be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. All I know is if neither one of them are gonna have cardio, this shit's gonna be
I think 5 months. if Benz is like reasonably well trained in hand to hand combat from the military, and he has 5 months, all this dude needs to do is run. Just
I
nonstop
think
running
so.
now until then.
Yeah, because Nicky's not gonna run. I don't think.
Bro, he's only 6 foot and he's 235. He's got a.
I think he's like 6'1". He's a little bit taller than me.
I don't know,
I'm like
man. Either
5'10".
way, like that's a big uphill battle to. Like if you're in decent cardio shape or whatever, you're going to be coming in under 200 at 6 foot tall.
Did you?
Unless you're just a fucking animal.
Did anybody ever see the Nicky P fight with one of the Massies in Parks?
No,
I never saw it. I would love to see that at this moment.
it was Ralph, right? Or was it Aaron?
Ooh, I don't know.
I think it was Ralph.
I'd see Ralph.
Did you ever see Ralph's impersonation of Nicky P?
That's so good.
It's remarkable.
Oh, Ralph's impersonation of anything, or just whatever he's doing, like in a comedy way, is just fucking great.
I'm pretty sure his pin tweet is still his impersonation of Kat Riffick from like 3 or 4 years ago when she entered the wrong circuit event.
Ralph is just a sicko. He's so good at it. Like,
It's
making
funny
people
because he has
laugh.
like a thick ass Chicago accent, but somehow adds to the to the comedy of the impersonation.
so good. But shout out to Ralph. Only person I ever pulled my voodoo tricks on, really.
What does that even mean?
Oh, when I told the dealer, if you really don't like
Oh,
Ralph,
yeah.
give him kings, give me aces, and run that shit clean. Kings, aces, clean.
It's actually quite ridiculous.
Little RIP to Pee Wee Herman, by the way.
Oh
I saw that.
You know, I never saw anything he's done.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure was a
a
hit when I
player.
was a kid. Yeah.
Yeah, he was an old school player.
I don't remember. I saw everybody mourning him, and I get it. Like, we're all 80s babies, and he was a big deal. Didn't he have like some big issue with indecent exposure.
Yeah,
at some
no, he was
point.
like
Let's
in a-
not talk about that.
He's like
Yeah.
jerking off in a movie theater or
Yeah,
some
well,
shit.
I think it was like an
He was
actual
at an adult
porn. He was in
theater.
an adult theater.
So
Oh.
it's
Porn
like,
theater.
So they just get him because he's Pee Wee Herman? There's probably
Yeah.
20 dudes there jerking off.
Right.
it's a
Yeah.
pass, man.
Come on.
Guapo.
If he was watching a Disney movie like at the
Right.
drive-in, it's a little different.
We know Guapo's been in one of these before, so let's just ask him. Guapo, is it normal?
Is there a splash zone, Guap?
They give you tissue.
All right.
I mean, it's just a given.
Is there
Plastic-
plastic,
Pee-wee gets a
plastic
pass.
laid down on the floors, you know?
It's so
R.I.P.
gross.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah, very unlucky. All right, we can kind of close on this topic that I don't know why it irks me. It just does. But there was this meme that got tweeted out that I actually thought was pretty hilarious, especially because so many people probably believed it to be true. But this guy tweets, just so it's obviously an engagement farming tweet. He goes, "Just tip my waitress $15,000." And it's like, all right, I'm gonna fucking click. And then there's this long story about how he orders, his coffee from Starbucks, and the lowest available tip for a milkshake in a cup is 25%. He basically says, like, to the barista, "Do you actually think this is fair?" Whatever. I'm not gonna get into the other kind of things that he's memeing, but and she goes, "I'm sorry, what do you think is fair?" And he said, do you think it's fair that I give you $1.70 for turning around an iPad? If you did this every day for 365 days, like, that really adds up to $620. And she goes, "I suppose not." He says, "I agree. Let's play a game then. Type in the number of what you think is a fair tip." So he turns it around to her and she types in $15,000. And he goes, "How did you come up with such a large number?" And she goes, "Simple. You seem like a person of means. Tipping $1.70 won't have any material impact on either of our lives. But losing $15,000, that would without a doubt make you grind harder." He said, "Damn, she's good. That's an excellent point. I hope you have a wonderful day." And I tipped her $15,000 before walking out. And the irony of this, or I guess like what led to me quote tweeting it and posting it, is that the satire of this meme is subtle enough that for people who fall victim to these grind culture type of motivational posts or whatever, you read it as being reality. And like I think, like, when you go through the comments, there are a lot of people who just believed this story actually happened.
Yeah.
And
Did you see him post the
to
receipt?
further the meme, he posts the receipt where he like scratches out what the actual payment was and he puts
The
in like
tip,
15,000, and then if you look above it says like drive through.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think this is worth mocking, and I think it's particularly worth me mocking because I personally like quite enjoy a lot of the people who are putting out, let's call it motivational content, the Gogginses of the world.
I'm
if
such
you
a
will.
sucker for those. I gotta be honest.
I love it. I absolutely love it, but I love it for what it is, right? Like, I enjoy it because I enjoy seeing somebody out
Are
there.
you a big Tony Robbins fan?
I am not. I'm a big fan of his story and like what's led him to being, the motivational speaker
Right.
that he is. I'm not a big.
You're not buying into the.
Well, I
things
talked to
he's saying.
Barbara about this.
I'm not your guru.
I talked to Barbara about this, and like he kind of changed my point of view slightly, in the sense that the biggest hang up that I have with Tony Robbins is that he's taken this motivational story that he's been able to kind of like help people get past their own victimhood or whatever, and do better for themselves, and he's found ways to monetize it, and that I think is completely reasonable. It falls well under the umbrella of capitalism, and he's just really good at what he does and he should be compensated.
Yeah.
The problem that I have with him is that he took it to the level of scale where he himself is now a big business. And like my only experience seeing Tony Robbins was him being the lead speaker in a multi-level marketing
Yeah, I
campaign.
was there with you.
Yeah.
was-
And it's just
It
like
was strange.
yeah, it's just like, okay, this is very far removed from what made you who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's clear like it's just for a check.
Right.
But, you're Tony Robbins and you sell everything basically he just became the ultimate salesman in my eyes, and that bothers me.
Yeah.
But Barber's point was kind of just like, well, what do you want him to do? Not get paid?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, yeah, I mean, to some degree, that's kind of fair. So it really does come down to the ultimate motivations of like, I don't know what drives Tony Robbins, but I know that he's a goddamn 100 millionaire, maybe approaching billionaire. So it's like, I don't know. The overall point that I think that like resonates with me is that I actually think a lot of these guys offer a ton of value. A guy like Goggins, a guy like E.T. the hip hop preacher, like it's all rooted in them having a story or a background that is just nothing but struggle. And in spite of, being pushed against their will and their back into a corner, they found ways to rise above. The issue that I have is that whenever you start to monetize this stuff, you really start to sell it as a dream, kind of like The Secret was for forever. I was actually just listening to a pod that I found to be kind of funny. They were talking about The Secret and like how bullshitty it is. And they were talking about it within the framework of how important optimism is, and like what an important role optimism plays in our life, and how positive thinking actually, does serve us in some sort of way. But how bullshitty The Secret is,
right?
Where
It's like,
you
if you think positively enough of the law of attraction, like
you can just manifest everything.
Yeah, right.
And he quoted Dave Chappelle, and Dave Chappelle basically said somewhere along the lines, well, if The Secret is so powerful, why aren't all these starving kids in Africa just manifesting food?
Right.
And it's like, yeah, of course. For anybody who doesn't know what The Secret is, it was just like this idea of the power of positive attraction.
Law of attraction.
Or the law of attraction. And one of the examples they use is that if you are searching in a parking garage for a parking spot, a crowded parking garage for a parking spot,
you just
can will it to just appear. You can manifest it.
I'm actually using that today. The Powerball is tonight, so I just want to let you guys know.
Oh, okay.
Everybody in this room will
Congrats
get
on
$1
your
million.
Yeah.
It's just my way of saying thank you.
Oh,
So we need a new.
I was gonna say if you could find your replacement before you win.
No, I'll still come in and work. I just,
okay.
Guapo's the richest one in this room, and he comes in every day.
That's true.
Are you kidding me?
It's $1 billion, boys.
That actually is probably
And
true.
he's gonna go to the Goodwill right after this and do some hunting. So
That's true.
and then he's gonna go play fucking 50 Cent Dollar online. This is just what Guapo does. He makes guap.
He makes guap.
That is true.
The man's a grinder.
The man is not motivated by money. We love it.
Well, he is, but he just grinds it.
I don't know what that means. If you're motivated by money, you don't do things for cents. You do things for, scale.
Everybody has their own,
No, I don't. Use your words.
Everybody has their own scale,
I don't know what that means.
Some people, think
Guapo, we're like 30
grind
minutes
it
early,
out.
bro.
Oh, are we?
It's
All
only
right,
11.
It seemed like a good spot.
I didn't even start a thought. Oh my god. What the
You were saying power of attraction.
We haven't even been going for an hour.
Powerball.
No. So like going back to this post, I think like the issue that I take with it is this notion of like selling the magic pill, and it's one that I've always had since we started Solve for Why. Like going back to when we originally created the company, I remember that one of the big mantras that I wanted to fall on was that we were never going to offer some out of the box solution. Just do X, Y, and Z, follow these tips and tricks, and you're suddenly going to become a winning poker player. And I think that like that obviously gets pushback from the community because it's so apparent, right? When people are so, and not just this community, but any community, like when the shallow marketing campaigns come flying out and it's like, you want to learn how to make $1 million a year? Just do X, Y, and Z. We saw the Tai Lopez's of the world kind of manifest. And that's probably a better example of what I disdain than Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins has built like, a multifaceted business. He's found a way to take him as one human being and build it out to scale, and create all these arms of revenue. Where like Tai Lopez just created a bunch of YouTube commercials, kind of insinuating that he could be your guru and teach you how to make millions and millions of dollars. Like if you read these 10 books.
I have to say, you've said maybe like 7 people's names that I heard like 2 of them. Goggins and E.T. Tony Robbins, Ty Lopez. I have no idea what any of these people do.
Tony Robbins is? No. He's the most famous one of all of them.
Yeah, for sure.
I have no idea who this is.
Okay.
I bet if you saw his face, you'd know.
Well, I don't know what you want me to do about that, Conrad.
What are they? Like, what are they?
They're
motivational speakers.
Yeah, they're effectively just motivational speakers. I mean, I don't know how to qualify like a guy like Goggins, but like a guy like E.T. is just clearly a motivational speaker. That's what he's hired to do. Mm-hmm. And his story is like very moving and powerful, and it does a lot of heavy lifting. I think that stuff has a ton of value, and I appreciate it. What I think it needs to be called out is whenever that gets packaged as, now you can do that too. Just follow tips and tricks, X, Y, and Z, right? And I think the new version of that is hustle culture, where instead of packaging, let's call it some sort of skill that you can develop by following some sort of methodology, now it's all just discipline and like hunger, right? So what's actually getting sold now, or maybe repackaged, is just the intangible dream of being a different version than you currently are, right? And it's just getting kind of wrapped nicely in some great packaging and whatnot. But like when you look at all these guys, particularly like the Ty Lopez, and he's such a great example because he came about right before crypto boomed, which obviously like that was the easiest thing for him to steer into. It does just become like this wild proposition of, I'm just going to try to accrue the largest following that I can and then shill them on something on the back end. A guy like Andrew Tate, I think, is like another good example, even though his messaging may be a little bit different. But what they all seem to have in common is that they utilize basic human faults against us. So it's like, most people are going to lack discipline in all areas of their life. Like they'll be disciplined in some and they'll be undisciplined in others. Most people are going to lack hustle and drive and stick-to-itiveness and the things that are necessary to become, call it the top 1 to 5% in whatever it is that you're pursuing. But it's also not reasonable to expect a human to apply that to all areas of life, right? So everybody's always going to have a soft spot that they're looking to correct, whether that's health and fitness, whether that's monetary, whether that is emotionally or socially. There's always going to be a pain point where somebody can just tell you you're not working hard enough. And the second that you buy that message, you're locked into the grind culture.
Yeah.
And I think that like that's why this meme was so funny to me, but it also just seemed to echo every fucking poker thread that I see getting posted. It's like we just finally had our eyes open to this broader world of marketing that people have been preying upon others for years. And I guess I just hold us to a higher standard, which is what, makes it annoying to me, is that, I think of this community as very intelligent, and I think of the consumers to be able to sniff out bullshit pretty easily. So when I see things like, the only thing stopping you from being a winning player is trying harder, or meditation, or, a disciplined morning routine. Basically a bunch of shit that's being regurgitated from a Joe Rogan podcast or, whoever your thought leader is that you follow. It becomes very unoriginal to me, and it makes me worry that the people who are consuming in this space aren't as sharp as I previously believed them to be. And I just think it does so much more harm than good in the long run.
Is your problem with it more not that these things that people are saying to do are necessarily a bad thing or they don't have value, but that they're the end all be all?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
That's why I said I think it's like important for me to be the one to kind of like poke fun at this a little bit, because my life is very regimented, and I think discipline is a huge factor as to like why I'm where I'm at. But so is survivorship bias, right? Like so much of making it in this industry is you being in the right place at the right time and applying yourself, right? There's a combination of aptitude, opportunity, discipline, whatever, like hard work.
When preparation meets opportunity.
Sure, like all of these things are necessary to create the sauce that's required to be able to sustain yourself for long periods of time. And I think when you distill it down to just one of those characteristics, it becomes bothersome to me. It would be just as bothersome to me if somebody started just tweeting a bunch of threads about how it's pure luck to be at the top of this industry.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Luck is certainly a factor, and it should be acknowledged. But to distill success down to any one of these single attributes, to me, just becomes really bothersome because you're not telling the whole story, which makes me feel like we're lying through omission. And as educators, as people who are trying to provide to the space and give back to those who are new or who are less sharp when it comes to how this whole industry works, I dislike that level of, or that lack of transparency, I think. Right? Because I do think that it creates a lot of rah-rah, and more importantly, maybe a lot of enthusiasm for something that might be unattainable for a large subsection, right? I think that there's a large group of people. Actually, I think Melissa Burr tweeted something that was pretty profound the other day that she probably caught a lot of shit for, but it's probably worth acknowledging. She just made a very simple tweet that said, perhaps there aren't more women in poker because they understand earlier than men that their path is futile. And that's very reasonable. Like, we don't acknowledge enough how many people attempt and fail. Right? It's the vast majority. And that's okay. Right? The difference is, at least I think the point that she was trying to make is that some people are willing to go through that cycle for longer periods of time. And that's not necessarily a good thing, right? But when you fall victim to that grind set, when you fall victim to, not victim to, but when you're conditioned into that hustle culture or that grind set where it's like, I don't care, man, I'm going to persevere no matter what. It's like, yeah, that's a great trait to have, but not whenever you're embarking upon something that is just completely futile.
This is the trick that the multi-level marketing would, that's like their main trick to trick these people into thinking that they're gonna have all this great success, right? It's just like, well, if you just work hard enough, you'll get to the next level, and you'll get to the next level, and you do this. Look at me, I worked really hard, and now I'm at the top, right? And they tell all these people they don't understand it. Like,
it makes me think
everybody can't, like, if everybody did that, the whole thing will collapse. Like, there's not enough. The economy's not big enough to support all of what they're trying to do.
It makes me think of that meme of that coal miner where he's like digging and digging and digging, and one guy turns back, and the other one's just like on the precipice of
the diamond.
Yeah.
I think that it's largely rooted in, what we considered to be the American dream initially. But that's because we were an industrialized nation, right? We were one of the early industrialized nations. And even if you look at education, we still kind of, we're still kind of educating toward the factory worker, right? Like if you're talking about like educating to the masses and, targeting the mean or the median type of person, well, a lot of like what is being taught is basically just preparing people to work 40 hours a week, 300 days a year, whatever, for the rest of their lives. And that's kind of a byproduct of having been an early industrialized nation. You went to school, you got somewhat educated enough to make it on the assembly line, and then you very gradually worked hard to upper management. Like those who showed some gumption and some, discipline and hard work and hustle were the ones that made it to middle level management, potentially upper level management. And the whole dream was sold as it's a meritocracy where, work in equals reward, and you get compensated fairly and justly based off of how hard you're willing to work and the skills that you can bring to the labor force. but it's very much not like that anymore, right? Like there are a lot of people who are born on third base that are just going to represent the highest tier of wealth and job creation and everything else. And then there are a lot of other people who just kind of take advantage of new markets, new industries, whatever, and go from literally nothing to everything. Almost none of this has anything to do with the amount of discipline and hustle and perseverance. And that will always be there, right? Because it's a byproduct of kind of fulfilling any sort of vision.
Yeah.
Barring like, just stepping in shit and like, having a weird harebrained idea on the toilet that you come up with a protocol and the next day you have $1 billion idea. Like that happens very, very, very rarely. But like generally speaking, there's going to be a lot of perseverance and everybody's going to have a story to tell. And, the survivors are going to be the ones who kind of like paint the picture. But that doesn't necessarily mean that those are the consistents, right? Or the constants whenever it comes to success. Like, yeah, they're constantly there, but they're not the reason why the success occurred, right? The success is ultimately going to be born out of the aptitude. It's going to be born out of the idea. It's going to be born out of the sheer ability to execute, right? And the vision that the person is attempting to execute on. If you have a bad idea, you're going to fail, no matter how much you try to persevere and overcome, right? Like we see this all the time when we watch Shark Tank. Somebody comes in and they just have a fucking trash idea that they've poured their life savings into, that they poured hundreds of thousands of hours into, and all these other resources. And the sharks look at it and they say, stop. Just please stop.
Yeah.
Right? And that honesty to me, like watching those situations, of course it's heartbreaking for the person, but like that level of honesty and transparency is so refreshing. And it's like what I think industries should be trying to mimic as best they possibly can, rather than trying to go out and, kind of herd infinite consumers that they know are on the hook for a nothing product. Like most MLM companies are just born out of literally nothing, right? It's you're literally just selling a dream and then attaching like some useless product to it,
Right.
that they can move around.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to see poker go the way of MLM, I guess, is what it's ultimately coming down to.
Yeah.
That's my rant.
I don't know what MLM is. I don't know who Tony Robbins is. I don't know any of this shit, man.
An MLM is one of your friends walks up to you and says, "Hey, I have a business opportunity I want to talk to you about."
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Honestly,
much.
that's
It's like,
how it starts.
you usually see a lot of it when people are like trying to sell things like on Facebook, and then they're like, oh, well, like, and then they try to recruit people to sell the product that they're selling. Then they want them people to recruit people.
So it's every fucking like facial cream.
Yes. It's facial cream.
Mary
It's
Kay.
makeups. It's
Mary Kay is a good one.
Okay.
It's a lot of times it's like protein.
I almost
stuff
got in college. My old roommate John Meyer, he was like, I have this great. They always call it the business.
Yeah.
He's like, I have this great. I have this great thing, man. You got to come with me, and then you go to a meeting. It's literally like fucking going to a cult.
It really is. It's a cult. It's a cult like
or like a
culture, for
timeshare.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you just like show up. There's 60 people in a room, and then they have testimonials of people who are at the top of the pyramid. So it'll be like some 24-year-old fresh out of college kid who will come up with his new wife who's a smoke show, and they'll be like, yeah, I got into the business 3 years ago. Now I drive an M3 BMW, and Sally and I just recently got married and vacationed in Turks and Caicos and yada yada
Shout out
yada.
to Turks and Caicos.
And you're just looking at them, you're like, oh, I mean, that seems pretty fucking great. What did they do? And it's always just like this simple scheme where it's like, here's your catalog. The one that we were doing was a derivative of Amway. So I can't remember what the name of it was, but it was basically like health supplements.
Yeah.
So it was like protein and, vitamins and all this other bullshit, which...
they sponsor soccer teams. I know what you're talking about. It's like a Vitamix or Nutravitamin or something.
I don't remember. I mean, this was literally 30 years ago, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But whatever it was, you'd spend like a couple $100s a month in product, and then it was on you to move said product.
Right.
And
You had to
then-
buy so much product, and then you
then
had
you were
to
on the
move-
hook for
right.
it.
Yeah. And then you're
So
exactly.
you buy your own inventory, but here's the catch: you buy your inventory from the person who introduced you to the business.
right.
So what happens is they're selling you the inventory,
Yeah.
and they're buying from the person above them.
Right. Basically, what like when you're in these like these situations, the goal isn't to sell a product. The goal
No.
is to recruit more
You create a
people,
downline.
right? And then have them do your work, and then them recruit other people, and eventually someone, the music stops, right? Yeah.
Right. So you just continually create a downline, and everybody gets a piece of the pie going up.
Until
so
you're at the top of it.
Nice little
Correct.
pyramid scheme.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's I guess that's my concern. I know that that's not the intent necessarily whenever it comes to hustle culture and putting out the grind. And again, like I'm a huge fan of this type of stuff. I watch a lot of the Goggins stuff. I watch a lot of ET because like the
your
messaging is inspirational.
Yeah, your problem isn't with discipline and working hard and hustling. That's not your
No,
problem.
I believe in all
Right,
of that
yeah,
stuff.
right.
It's when you package it to sell something.
Right.
That's where it becomes a problem. Even if the thing that you're selling is just the dream, because
Right.
though we may not be creating a pyramid in this community of people who are then recruiting others and funneling money up to us, in essence, we are kind of creating that cult-like pyramid community where you're bringing people in through the messaging over and over and over again, and then you're just funneling tidbits of non-strategy down to them.
Yeah.
Right? So you kind of are just keeping people in the machine to continually feed the winners, if you will. And I don't know, man. There just feels like something dirty about that. Like this isn't lifting weights. Trying harder is not the recipe to becoming a winning poker player. Yes, you do have to try.
It's part of it. Like
You do have to try, but it's not.
Right.
It's not something you can just will.
Right.
I actually remember this, and it really resonated with me because there was a point in my career where I felt like I had this level of control. I would feel like early on in my career, my wins and losses were predicated upon like how much attention I was paying and how hard I was trying in the moment, as if like somehow now that I have a pocket pair and I'm locked in, I'm gonna flop that set type of thing. And I remember. Like very early on when I first started playing with Lynn, she would talk about how like once she would get stuck, she would just like will her way out of it. And what she's really speaking to is she would gamble her way out of it, right? And I resonated with that because it's like, oh yeah, I've done that too. You push the action, you try to do certain things, you put yourself in a tough spot, and then you hope to make the correct decision and get yourself out. And it's like that made sense on the surface of like, oh yeah, we do have this level of control. All you have to do is try really hard. But then when you peel it back a little bit further, it's like, that makes zero sense, right? Like you have no control over the deck. You have no control over your hand distribution. The only thing that you can control is your strategy. And if you're saying that through sheer will, you can make improvements upon your strategy, well then the fact is you're just actually not accessing the winning strategy often enough.
Yeah.
The truth is, though, you can't alter your strategy through sheer will. You can only alter it through study and repetition and execution. So, like, that's, I guess, where I have the biggest hang up with the messaging is whenever we start to pretend like poker is a physical endeavor, a sport where you can just push yourself harder, run a little bit faster, run a little bit further, lift something heavier, doing all these things. It's like all of that is very accessible in the physical realm, and you'll see marketed gains moving forward. But that's not true in poker. Poker's a mind sport. So all those physical reps that you'd be putting in elsewhere, you have to be putting in mentally. And that's so hard.
Yeah.
Because physically, you can get away with a lot of like poor form or not really having a cohesive plan as far as like what it is that you're training for or how you're approaching training or anything like that, and you'll still see gains, right? Just because like stress and time under tension equals gains in the physical realm. But that's not the case in poker. If you're studying the incorrect thing, if you are not looking at
the mind is more complex than the body.
So much more, and so is the
yeah.
game.
Right.
The game at hand is so much more complex than anything that you would be
Right.
training for in the physical realm.
Yeah.
So it's like if you have no vision or oversight over what the proper strategies are, what it is that you should be training into, where your mistakes and errors are occurring, if you have no vision over that, then working harder does nothing.
And then add the variance and luck factor on top of that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like now working harder is actually more of a detriment than it is an asset, because you're pouring a lot of time, energy, and resources into the wrong thing, right? And you're just creating a much more convoluted, bad strategy. So I guess I don't know, man. I mean, we can use 1,000 analogies, and I know that I'm just kind of beating a dead horse at this point, but it's very, I think why it's so bothersome to me is because I value those attributes in people so much. And the application in poker and in investing and finances and all these other worlds, it's not reasonable. It doesn't mean anything.
He's got 20 more minutes remaining.
No, this is good. This was good timing. This was good timing for sure. Conrad understands.
I'm going to block some guy right now, actually. This fucking guy.
What did he do?
He's just a loser.
Okay.
His name's Michael Santori.
Oh,
Loser. Okay, gotta go.
Always a great addition
Isn't that the situation?
on Conrad's closings. Santorum? No.
Not Santorum.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Be sure to check out all the things that we have in the pipeline. We have a new academy coming up September 1st to the 3rd. If you guys are interested in that, head to academy.solveforwhy.io. We have a new season of On Second Thought that will be dropping next Monday. I just did the first hand last night. It's an interesting one. It's a very quick and easy single race pot between Ewan and Christian, where by all accounts, they both played the hand damn near perfectly. Kind of interesting to highlight a spot like that where two guys are just like so in sync that they're predicting each other's bet sizes. So be sure to look forward to that. It'll be season 9 of On Second Thought. That's going to drop every Monday for the next 10 weeks. And then we're going to be filming a new season of Poker Out Loud right around the Academy, actually. Got to get that lineup together. If you guys have any suggestions for who you'd like to see in season 10 Poker Out Loud, go ahead and drop those in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, click that bell before you get on out of here. We'll be back tomorrow sometime in the morning.
We'll be here.
10 a.m. maybe, noon. It's just going to depend if I have a Bellagio game to go to or not. Until then, we'll see you guys later.
Later, squad.
Peace.